We begin this news hour with breaking news out of Austria. Prosecutors are investigating Chancellor Sebastian Kurz on suspicion of corruption and bribery. His offices were raided earlier today. 9 other people are also being investigated. Let's bring in Dominic Kane, who's in Berlin for us. Dominic, what's this all about?
This is all about the suspicion of corruption that has been placed, as it were, at the door of the Chancellor Sebastian Kurz. It refers to the activity of a particular tabloid newspaper in Austria during the course of the past few years, but specifically what's under investigation is what took place between the years 2016 and 2018. The suggestion, the suspicion indeed, that prosecutors are working under is that Mr. Kurz and/or the 9 other people involved in this investigation, the people being investigated, were involved in the commission of certain offences around bribery. Specifically, it is alleged, and it is suspected by prosecutors, that Mr. Kurz and others brought influence on the editorial board of this particular newspaper in Austria to procure preferential coverage of Mr. Kurz and his party, such that an opinion poll was put out by this newspaper which cast Mr. Kurz's party in a very preferential light, and it wasn't put out as an advertisement. It should have been, say, prosecutors, that it should have been put out as an advertisement. The point being that the allegation, the suspicion put forward by prosecutors in Austria this afternoon is that the publication of the poll was put out in a newspaper, not as an advertisement as it should have been, and that the other side of this is that certain individuals in that newspaper, in that editorial side of things, were then procured positions on the board of a specific company. Now, the suggestion being put forward by prosecutors is that federal finance was involved in this. That means government money, i.e. taxpayers' money. The significance of this, Mr. Kurz has been in power now since the end of 2017. He lost his previous government partner in 2019, viewers will remember, in the course of a corruption scandal involving that other party, the far-right party in Austria. Mr. Kurz came back, as it were, from the political dead and won that election. But this is the first time he has found himself personally under investigation for corruption, bribery. Clearly, he denies these allegations, but he is under investigation, and he is one of 10 people, him and 9 others, who are now under suspicion of bribery relating to that newspaper.
So Sebastian Kurz directly being investigated this time, as you say, as well as other conservatives. What does he risk? How much damage could this cause him?
On the face of it, the suspicion of the commission of an offence is not the same thing as being charged with the offence and therefore having to go to court and to have to face those any charges that might ensue. We must be very clear, this is the start from a juridical perspective. This is the start from a legal perspective. This is the start of anything that might develop into anything. So it is possible that this may not lead to charges, to an appearance in court and anything that might flow from that. But clearly, if it were to do that, then that would put Mr. Kurz in very particular jeopardy. Clearly, politically, the question now would be, both for his party and for his coalition partners currently in government, well, what do they make of this? Are they happy at the thought that the man who is currently Chancellor, who won the last general election with a big personal vote, as it were, is under investigation for what would, on the face of it, be serious criminal offences? Lots of questions, then, not just for the investigators right now, but also for the political backers of Mr. Kurz. Do they want to have the problems that these investigations are going to provoke? Because clearly this is going to be a very, very big political story in Vienna, in the rest of Austria, because Mr. Kurz, on the face of it, opinion polls suggest that he is certainly preeminent in terms of the voters' approval ratings. How will voters respond to these allegations? Where will they go next? Very many questions right now, not so many answers.
And we'll continue to follow all the latest developments with you, Dominic Kane, live there in Berlin.